Hi guys, welcome to the video. So what I want to show you guys today is how I managed to fit my entire army for Warhammer Achievements, my Skaven army, into a single standard size KR case. So one of the things I wanted to do when I went to Achievements is I wanted to fit the entire army into a single standard case like this here, which closes perfectly. Simply because I knew that I was going to have to take public transport on at least one of the journeys to and from Warhammer Achievements, which was at Blood and Glory, and so I needed to make sure that I could transport it easily. That's basically what it was. So that's my little disclaimer and explanation as to why I did this. Now I'll go ahead and show you what it's all about. So you'll notice that these were kept separately. So I made these bases specifically sparse and hard wearing because I knew that I was going to be transporting them separately. We've got one here for the furnace, then we've got 3 for plague claws, and then this one here is for a vermin lord. The vermin lord is actually in the bottom on this side of the case. So there's those big bases. They were transported in my satchel that I took, which had my dice and everything in it, just the general stuff. So if we open this up, you'll see what I did. Now, whenever I'm building whenever I'm designing storage with a KR case, I always chop it in half here. That means I can work with 2 different size or 2 different fractions of depth for each side. This side is separated into thirds, and this side is separated into quarters and a half on the bottom. So we've got some of the priests here. Well, you can see if I just pick this up, you'll be able to see it better. We've got 4 priests here. They're a funky shape, so I just decided to chop out some bits here and basically fit them in with some bits of loose foam around the outside. And we've got some of the censer bearers there. The ones that are more complicated shape I've put in upside down just because it's easier than trying to put them in the normal way up like these guys here. So there's that one there. Underneath we've got the same thing again. Again, this is a third size or a third depth, and that's full of censer bearers as well. Now there's a little bit of space left on this one here for a few more miniatures, as you can see, so that's pretty cool. And then underneath, what you'll see down here is the 3 plague claws. That was just left on top. So we've got the plague claw design there. Now these are thinner than the plague furnace, and so what I decided to do is I decided to make it so these would fit in a third. That there is a little bit deeper, a little bit wider than a third case or a third tray even. But it doesn't really matter, to be honest, because the trays on top have a little bit of give in them, and if you've got 2 trays on top, there's enough give in all 3 to make up for it sticking out about ½ centimetre across the board. We've got some crew here. We've got a plague priest sitting down there. He's one of the more complicated shapes, so I had to cut him out there. And then we've got these things here which come off the plague claws. Now I also made sure that I could have my plague claws sort of orientated nice and small, so I went for a low profile one here, and that pops up and the stuff goes on it. So that is how that one fits in there. Now these bottom bits I've made out of pick and pluck, and because of that I've been able to make these custom shapes, cut a few edges here and here, and just make it all fit in nice and snug. You can see here there's a join there, but I didn't need to cut that bit out, so I've left it in. There's also space down here for something else. You can see there's a few lines there in the pick and pluck, and that's this side of the case. Now on the other side, we've got the plague monks. As you can see here, lots of free space here. Now that's 40 censer bearers on the other side and 3 plague claws, plus 5 of the plague priests. On this side, we've got some treasure. You can see here some books that I worked on. We've got quite a few plague monks. Then we've got a bigger tray of plague monks. We've got the goo that goes on the plague claw catapults. A lot more treasure. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more treasure. We've got some of my homemade tokens here, which I need a repaint, and they're safely stored in there as well. I've had to do a little bit of work here to make space for the larger of the plague monks. But there we go, there's 40 plague monks plus some few extra stuff. Now you can see here that this side here is a half. So we've got the plague monks are kept in 2 quarter height trays. The censer bearers are kept in 2/3. There's a third here, and this one is a half. Now I needed the half because I needed to store this big boy and also this big boy. So we've got the furnace on the bottom, and we've got the Vermin Lord, couldn't remember his name there for a minute, in this part here. Now again, pick and pluck because I needed to make it a little bit custom. As you can see here, he's perfectly fine. Because he wasn't based properly, this is actually magnetised. I've got some nice gooey water effects going on there on his little base. And then he fits in perfectly. I kept his arms off, mainly because I wanted to keep him customizable between different types of Vermin Lord, but also because it meant I could just store him a lot easier. If I had this arm on, it would be sticking out further than this edge here, and if I had this arm on, it would be poking out there, which would have meant that I couldn't pick out this bit here, which has the little mini chariot that you've seen on the channel. There we go. And the priest that goes on that is in this little pocket here. Now the arms for the Vermin Lord are in this little pocket over here, nicely packed. They're not going to scratch each other. And then we've got the furnace. So the furnace is here. This was lying on top, so it wasn't touching anything. Roughly like that. The furnace itself is in this little funky shape here. And then the bits that go on top of the furnace are there. And then the monks that hold onto the ball are just placed on top like that. Like I say, there's enough give in all of these layers of foam so that you can actually go beyond the depth of the foam without really needing to worry, as long as it's not something delicate, like, oh, I don't know, there's not really much here that's actually quite delicate. It's maybe this guy in here, the little plague priest, if I just pick him out. There we go, he's got some delicate stuff on him. But generally, as long as you're not sticking out something like this staff there, you can get away with having stuff poking beyond. And then when the lid closes, it all just gets a little bit tighter. It's not going to damage anything, but you have to be careful with doing that. So that's basically how I managed to do it. So it all fits in rather nicely. On this side, we've got the Plague Monks, the Furnace, the Vermin Lord, and one of the Plague Priests. On this side, we've got all the Plague Claws, some Censer Bearers, and the other 5 of the Plague Priests. And it all fits in nice and lovely. Give it a bit of a squeeze, bish bash bosh, as it were. So that's basically what I want to show you guys today. How I managed to fit a lot of stuff in these. It's a second KR case video where I've managed to fit a lot into one of these. It's the reason that that I generally go with KR case rather than cheaper ones, is because I can pick the different levels, I can pick halves, and I can pick the pick and pluck that I need to make stuff fit safely. And that, to me, makes them worth a little bit of extra money that you're going to pay. They're still not breaking the bank. And to be honest, I always use the card cases like this here. As you can see, there's one over there. There's a couple. There's a little one there. And there's some over on the chair as well. So I'm a massive fan of these types of cases. And they've been brilliant. They've helped me no end carrying my miniatures around. Move that out of the way. Right, hopefully that's been helpful to somebody and been entertaining to those who it hasn't. Because I'm always keen to see how people store armies, and I take a lot of pleasure in making sure that my armies go into the smallest and most cost-effective spaces possible when storing and whatnot. Right, keep up with me in between videos over here. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Stay well, guys.